Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Friday Charge from the Geek podcast. We're your hosts, Joel and Sebastian. And today, February 7th, 2025, we've got a handful of topics on the docket, such as trouble between two Japanese automakers, we're not getting a cool Kia, some drama for Tesla, and a couple other topics. So, without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, our first topic of the week is that Toyota has opened their U.S. battery factory. This week, Toyota announced that their North Carolina battery plant is ready, and this is quotes, ready to begin production and will start shipping batteries for North American vehicles in April. Toyota invested nearly $14 billion on this plant, creating nearly 5,000 jobs and to produce batteries for its EVs, plug-in hybrids, and just regular plain Jane hybrids. This is Toyota's first in-house battery factory outside of Japan, and Toyota expects this plant to have over 30 gigawatt hours of annual capacity. So I didn't have a whole lot to add on this. I just kind of thought it was cool to see, hey, Toyota did the thing. Good job.
Yep.
So now we can have North American source batteries for their one EV and all their random hybrids they make. And yeah, I just thought it was cool. Maybe this will open a path for the BZ4X to qualify for federal tax credit, as long as the federal tax credit stays around. And if it qualifies for tax credit and maybe starts closer to that $30,000 range, maybe we can give it less shit because it's maybe makes better sense at a normal price and not at $47,000 or $57,000.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably talking EV wise, this is probably the one good thing Toyota has done the past 2 years is build an EV plant, EV battery plant. So yeah, I mean, it's smart. They did it. I'm glad they did it. They seem to be taking the more slow, methodical approach to their EVs. That may work in the long run. We shall see. But the one thing Toyota has to its advantage, and it has a solid ICE vehicle lineup to keep them afloat while they figure out their EV plan. A lot of other manufacturers don't have that. So that's why they got to push hard for EVs, because their gas-powered vehicles are slowing in demand too. Toyota doesn't have that issue. They make solid cars. They last forever till the doors literally rust and fell off. We had a Toyota growing up, and literally we had it till the doors rusted and fell off. So yeah, I'm happy that they're finally doing this. Hopefully this means better EVs. Hopefully this means cheaper EVs, more quality EVs, or I don't know. Just it's a good step in the right direction. So, because all we hear from Toyota is like, oh, we have a battery that will go 900 miles, or we have this battery that will go 850 miles. And we haven't seen anything like that yet. So,
yeah. Moving on, let's stay on the topic of Japanese automakers. There's trouble brewing between Honda and Nissan. So after signing an MOU late last year to create a new joint EV venture, it now sounds like this might not be happening after all. During a board meeting this week, Nissan announced that it was considering scrapping the merger. Reportedly, the rift is stemming from a disagreement between the two automakers over ownership. Honda wants more control of the partnership due to fears about Nissan's future, whereas Nissan is adamant that it wants a 50-50 split. This merger, if it did happen, would have created the world's third largest automaker behind Toyota and Volkswagen. So I can't blame Honda in this if it is truly because they are afraid of what Nissan might do. Because I don't know what the heck Nissan might do. We keep hearing stories about, they'll have like a year's worth of money left, right? And all this, it's like, if I were trying to do this merger, I wouldn't necessarily want to have 50-50 ownership either. And I don't know why Nissan would want to throw a fit on this, because what else are they going to do? Do they have other suitors lined up? Like, do they have somewhere else they can be like, oh, well, Honda, fine, I'll go join Subaru. I don't know.
Yep.
Fuji Heavy Industries.
Yep.
Or is this just them, like, trying to flex their muscle that they don't have because they need this a lot more than Honda needs them?
I totally agree with you. I don't know what Nissan is thinking here, because they need help badly, and Honda gave them a lifeline. And if I was Nissan, I'd say, hey, whatever you want, take it. We need help. We want to survive. If it's a merger with you where you have 75% stake in the company and we have 25% or whatever, you guys keep the CEO. We'll play by your rules, and we'll share some of our EV technology with you. Maybe that will help you get things started. I mean, Nissan has EV technology. It's pretty, mid, as the kids would say, EV technology, but they're solid cars. They work, people drive them, they like them. So, I don't know what Nissan's thinking. We may be having another, podcast episode here in another year talking about the demise of Nissan and what happened to it. But yep, we shall see. But I would totally agree with you. I think Honda they're taking all the risks, so they should get most of the chunk.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Mercedes is joining the club. As of February 4th, Mercedes EVs now have access to the Tesla Supercharger network. Mercedes EVs are able to activate their charge sessions using the Tesla app as well as the Mercedes MeCharge app. Some Mercedes EVs need a software update before they'll be able to charge at Tesla Superchargers. And as of now, all of their models will need a NACS adapter, as there are no NACS native EVs yet. Mercedes will gladly sell you an OEM adapter for $185,
which is the going price for seems all adapters right now.
I don't know. GM was like $215. I've seen like $250.
I think the A to Z is $189 and the Electron's $199. Yeah. They're real close. Yeah. They're right around there too. So
yeah. So this is just, I don't have a whole lot to say about this. I don't own a Mercedes and probably never will. So I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just not the Mercedes clientele. So I also only brought this up because every time I read Mercedes MeCharge, I get Jar Jar Binks in my head, and I'm just like, Misa, go charge my Mercedes now. I don't know. I just can't.
So did it say? Do you know if it's over-the-air update or they have to bring it in? Did it say?
I think they have to bring it in.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Which is weird because I'm pretty certain the cars support over-the-air updates. We keep seeing this from automakers that have baked in over-the-air updates into their cars, have released over-the-air updates for stuff, but then will randomly be like, "Oh, you have to bring it into a dealership."
Yeah,
I think GM has been doing this recently on some of their on the Sierra that they just launched. The vehicle fully supports over-the-air updates. It can get them or whatever, but then you have to take it in to update modules and stuff. Even though, from what I remember, GM claimed that every piece of the truck could be touched through the over-the-air update mechanisms. So I don't know what's up with that. And we keep seeing the same things like when the GM recalls for the Equinox had one for saying that the pedestrian sounder wasn't loud enough. It was a take it into the dealer and have an update applied versus pushing an update to the car to make the speaker louder. I don't know.
It's loud weird. Now. It's loud enough now. We've driven one
for sure.
So yeah, they made it. They made that better. So yeah.
But yeah, it's just weird. We keep seeing that with these automakers, and I don't know what the deal is.
I believe in my Kia, it's air quotes supports over-the-air updates. I've had my car for 3 years. I've been able to do that one time successfully. That's it.
Yeah. Speaking of Kia,
look at that segue.
Look at that segue. Kia is not giving us the EV5. Kia has announced that they plan to launch their EV5 crossover in Canada in 2026. And not only have they announced this, they state that they will be exclusively launching in Canada for the North American market. So we are not getting it in the US, and you better not ask again.
Hey, Sebastian, are we getting the EV5?
No.
Okay, just want to make sure.
So the EV5 is going to feature a NACS port in the Canadian market, which is cool. It makes sense. North American charging standard, right? Charging system, charging standard. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, the EV5 is built on the eGMP platform. However, it's built on the 400-volt variant of the eGMP platform, which is neat. And it slots, obviously, based on the name, you could probably guess this, right below the EV6. The EV5 adopts a more traditional shape. To me, it looks like a shrunken down EV9, which is not a bad thing because I think the EV9 looks pretty good. And yeah, I kind of think it's a shame that we're not getting it in the US. I'm pretty confident I know why we're not getting it in the US. This vehicle is currently built in either China or Singapore. and we have some political issues and tariff issues that probably are keeping Kia from wanting to bring it to the US, even though I feel like the car would do pretty decent in our market. It's more of a traditional SUV crossover shape. The EV6 is kind of a it's SUV size, but it's got that hot hatch shape to it.
Yep.
And so I feel like that's kind of maybe polarizing to a typical SUV shopper, whereas this looks like a boxy SUV that seemed to do well. And yeah, so we won't get it. Maybe one day we'll see one on the road because they're road tripping from Quebec to Dallas or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make a pretty bold statement here. I would fully, as someone who owns a EV6, I would fully support them scrapping the EV6 and going with the EV5.
That's
So
interesting because
so
I doubt it will charge as well
I know,
since it's a 400 volt and not 800 volt.
I know, but but just look wise, I just like how it looks.
Oh yeah, it looks good.
I know it's bigger, but I'm getting like EX30 vibes from it just by the wheels and the front. I kind of get that vibe for it, but I know it's going to be bigger than EX30. But yeah, I'm kind of pissed about this one because I really would like to see this car in America because this is, I think, like you said, it would sell really well here.
Yeah.
I mean, I much prefer the EV9 over the EV6, just the styling and look. And this looks more like someone just took an EV9 and just scrunched it in a little, which makes sense. It's got a higher roof line and things like that. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. Just sucks. Maybe one day we'll get lucky in the next 2 years or not, and they'll bring it over here.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some drama. Maybe. Tesla has slipped significantly in Europe. So I have tried to avoid these topics for a little while because it's a very divisive little area, but it's hard to ignore right now. So EV sales numbers in Europe or registration numbers in Europe have been released for January, and it doesn't look good for Tesla. They are down 50% in Europe for January of 2025 compared to January of 2024. Now, some are saying, the drop is due to the new Model Y. We're transitioning to a new Model Y. However, it's important to note that in January of 2024, Tesla was transitioning to the new Model 3. Now, the Model Y sells more than the Model 3, but it's not by that much more. Many are speculating that the shift is due to increased disapproval of Elon Musk, especially in countries like Germany, where they saw a 59% decrease. And see, what's your graph say there? France was 63%, Sweden 44%. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense. Anyway, I think it's a combination of the two issues above, as well as a third thing. It's a really crowded EV market in Europe right now.
It is.
And Tesla's lineup has gotten pretty stale over the years. Tesla, and this is something that Kyle from Out of Spec has mentioned in some of his China videos, a lot of the reason Tesla does really well in the US is because they don't have to compete against Chinese EVs. They don't have to compete against, these other models that we don't get here. Tesla, this big saving thing in the US is, they have FSD, right? That's the one thing they do really cool that no one else does, or no one else does as well, right? Because other EVs charge better than Teslas and get better range or whatever, but they don't have FSD. They don't get FSD in Europe. So the European models have the 250 kilowatt peak that they don't hold, and similar range and the same size and the same tech that we have here, but without FSD, and they're competing against, Chinese EVs and European automakers that we don't get here. There's already a really, really big crowded market, and they're selling what is ultimately, compared to some of these other competitors, it's a good EV.
Yep.
But it doesn't stand out, especially without kind of these headline features that we get here in the US. And so yeah, I think there's like those three things playing into it. I think Elon Musk has probably made a lot of people mad, especially in Europe with the whole. Anyway, and I think, yes, there's a new Model Y, so there's people holding off on buying Model Ys right now because they know there's one coming, whatever. And then I think their lineup is stale. Even the new Model Y mechanically doesn't have a whole lot going for it over the old Model Y. There's some exterior tweaks and there's some interior tweaks, but otherwise, under the body, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, and I would add a fourth component to it. It's kind of like the perfect storm is, I believe most of Europe has cut back on their EV incentives as well. So I think they've rolled back some of those starting in January. So it's not incentivized to buy. It's not as much incentivized over there to buy these. But I totally agree with you. I mean, just watching some of Kyle Connor's videos, I mean, he said tech-wise, the Chinese cars are just blowing it away. Now, performance-wise, maybe not. Maybe not do the 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. But ride-wise and tech-wise, he said it's a no-brainer over there. I mean, so
I do want to real quick call out because you mentioned the incentive thing.
Yeah,
I think I did read though, like in Germany specifically, where they saw a 59% decrease.
Mhm.
I believe in Germany, from what I was reading, the total number of sales for January, like the total market of or EV sales, is higher than it was in January of 2024.
Okay.
So Tesla has lost 50% of their market share, but the market as a whole is up year over year.
Yep.
Not saying that incentives can't be come into play on any of that.
Yeah.
And it could be a matter of if the Teslas previously qualified for an incentive and now they don't, and these other models that didn't qualify before are now in the same price bracket.
Yep.
That very well could be it as well. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and like you said, it's just more competition over there. You have the Chinese automakers bringing their cars in. You have cars like the X30 who are going to have good sales over there. I believe you said it's number 3 in Europe, the X30?
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean,
or at least it was last year.
Which is what people in Europe like. They like those smaller compact cars that don't have a huge range because they don't drive their cars that much. And they also got a lot better charging infrastructure than we do here in the States. But yeah, I mean, you can say what you want about politics, but when you decide to take a political stance, whether you agree with Elon or Musk, there's going to be half the population, because we are a divided country, 50-50 for the most part. Half the people are going to support what he's doing, and half the people are not going to support what he's doing. And from what I gather, most of the people who supported Trump in the previous, I'm not support Trump, supported Musk in the previous years, may be not the people who probably voted for Trump, is what I'm thinking. So you've alienated that batch. I don't personally take politics when buying EVs. That's just me. But some people do. We've had issues in our own Tesla's Owners Club where politics have come into play and people have sold their Teslas. That's just what it is. It's their decision. They have the right to do it. So, I mean, like I said, it could be the perfect storm. And I know sales numbers weren't great for them then the quarter in quarter 4 of 2024. So we shall see if they can continue growth this year, even with the Model Y coming out. So, Yep.
All right, let's talk about something lighter.
Yes.
Let's talk about what we've released this week on the podcast.
Yes. So, started off, we released a video on Monday. So, this has kind of been Ford Lightning Week. Released a video on Monday, our review of the 2024 Ford Lightning Flash. Huge shout out to Crane Ford for letting us borrow, Crane Ford Little Rock for letting us borrow the vehicle for a couple hours. As everyone knows, Sebastian has a love affair with Ford Lightnings. He made it very clear in the video. Little bromance between him and the car. Yeah, I mean, we drove a 2022. I actually don't remember that car because it was like one of the first cars we reviewed probably 6 months ago. So I don't remember that car, but truck wise, it's a good EV. I mean, we're not gonna give away too much, but if you want an EV that's looks like a truck, drives like a truck, and acts like a truck, then it's the Ford F-150 Lightning.
Yeah, the Lightning is just a solid package. It maybe isn't class leading on a lot of specs, but it's a solid package and it's a consistent package. And if you've driven a gas truck before, the Lightning will be familiar, right?
Yep.
It does a lot of it. Now it's still an EV and it drives like an EV in a lot of ways, but it is a familiar vehicle.
Yes.
It's not trying to do anything crazy space age, look like a garbage can, or just be a gigantic monster that weighs 9,500 pounds. It's not trying to fit into either of those camps. It's an F-150 first that happens to be electric.
Yep. And all the onboard power it has, everything like that. It's a solid EV. We drove it. We loved it. If I could get one today, I would. And so with Sebastian. So yeah, I mean, there's not much, really didn't find anything wrong with it. I mean, people were like, oh, you got it from a dealership. No, even though we get cars from dealership, we're still going to review them and give our honest opinion on them. And we tell dealers that, say, hey, listen, we're going to get the car, we can give it an honest review. And we do. But I couldn't find really anything wrong with it. I mean, it was comfortable. I like the Flash model because it feels like you get the best of all the worlds. You get the top line tech, and you get the cloth seat. I prefer cloth seats because I have kids, and I just don't like cleaning the leather all the time. So yeah, I mean, I like the Flash model. If I had to buy one, it would be the Flash.
Yeah, same here, because you automatically get the big battery on the Flash. You get, like you said, cloth seats, but you get the big screen from the layer. Like, you get the upgraded infotainment system. You get Blue Cruise. You get, all this other stuff, and you just have kind of more basic other features. It sits in between the XLT and the Lariat, right? So it's got all the tech stuff from the Lariat, and then kind of keeps the more basic parts of the XLT. It's a cool package to me.
So quiz, what is the one thing the Flash has that I wish it doesn't have that I wish it did? From the other
light bar on the back.
The light bar in the back, yes. I mean, I wish it had the light bar in the back, but I would live with that. It looks fine. But yeah, really good car. And then on Wednesdays, continuing with Ford, we chatted with one of our friends. First off, before we talk into that, I want to say Ford owners are just the best people to chat with. I mean, they're so positive. They'll hop on a podcast anytime to talk about their Ford. We had Ben talking about how, he runs his home from his Ford. This week we had Joe Schultes, who was on the podcast before, who tows a 9,000-pound camper trailer with his Ford F-150 Lightning to talk about, his experiences towing, 6, 7, 8 hours away, where he lives in upstate New York. These are just a great bunch of people to talk to. And he gave us a lot of insights because, if me and you ever had a 401 F-150 Lightning, we're probably not going to tow a 9,000-pound trailer on the back.
Yeah,
but
I'm not pulling a 35-foot camper. I'm sorry. That's not for me.
That's not
I'll
for
get
me.
a hotel.
My idea of camping is a cabin in the mountains. That's camping for me. So I want electricity, and I want cable TV, and I want air conditioning, and I want a jacuzzi bathtub. I want all that. So that's camping for me. But just hearing his experience and just hearing him say, yeah, you can do it. Is there a struggle at some point? Yes, but it can be done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great conversation. I mean, and you talked about, the two people you mentioned are Lightning owners, but we've had great experiences talking to people with Mach-E's. We've had great experiences talking to people at Ford.
Yep. Hopefully we have some more of those interviews coming up. Stay tuned. So yes.
They have been a lovely group to interact with. And so, yeah.
All right, take us out, Sebastian.
All right, that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. Be sure to subscribe to the EV Geek podcast on YouTube and tap that notification icon to be notified about new releases. We have some great content coming up, including a review of the Mustang Mach-E. This one's a 2024 premium trim. We previously have had a 2023 GT, and so there was some improvements for 2024, and I was excited to get a chance to drive the more everyman spec of the vehicle, right, kind of the middle trim. And hopefully coming soon, maybe we could get our hands on a 2025 and see all the tweaks they made to the interior and heat pump and stuff like that. And we also have an interview coming with Dominic from the Batteries Included podcast, and we have more stuff in the pipeline. I've teased a couple other things over the last couple weeks that haven't come out yet, because I've got a backlog of things to edit.
If you like luxury EVs, stay tuned in the next couple weeks. You'll be impressed.
Yeah. If you have any thoughts or questions, as usual, drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. We will read them. So long, everyone. When we will see you again on another episode of The Friday Charge.